Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of PCs and EVs. In today's video, we've got a bit of a showcase for you here. We have a review to do for the Zalman P30 White. Now, I will say right up front, this case was provided by Zalman at no cost, but I haven't been paid by them, no money has changed hands. So I'm going to give you my open and honest thoughts, just like I do on every review you see here on this channel. In addition to that, they did also send over their CNP S9X Performa in white with the ARGB fan, as well as their Terramax 2 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply that looks like it actually does have a 12 volt high power cable on board. Now, for today's build, we've obviously got those components, but we've also got a RTX 4070, right? Yep. An Asus Dual RTX 4070, as well as a Ryzen 7 5800X. Just want to give AM4 a pretty decent hurrah here. We've got a 1TB MP44L from Team Group. We've got an MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi, which is a pretty decent, bare bones, at least relatively bare bones, Wi-Fi motherboard on the AM4 platform. And, you know, AM4 just continues to live on. Apparently, they're going to be releasing even more CPUs for it from, like, the 5000 GT. No, they already did the 5000 GT lineup. It'll be the 5000 XT lineup. Now, this is going to be a video mostly focused on the case and cooler. But I am going to obviously talk some about other stuff as we go. As always, skip towards the end if you want some of the more sick B-roll shots and everything. But, yeah, let's jump right into it. I just kind of like to build as I talk. We're also going to be putting 16 gigabytes of DDR4 in this system. So, actually, we'll do 32. I've got plenty of 32 gig kits, so we'll throw one in here. Now, this isn't going to be like a build guide or anything like that. This is more just going to be me building a computer and showing you how it looks at the end. We've got some Crucial DDR4 Pro sticks running at 3200. Let's get these seated right in here. Wonder if you guys will be able to hear that click. Some boards have a much more, what's the word for it? Not necessarily vibrant, but enthusiastic of a click. Some of them just are very loud when they click. We're going to be just showing the mounting process for the cooler a little bit more in depth, as well as just my thoughts on the case and installation process, cable management, and obviously at the end we'll go over the looks and how it was to build in. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so let's open up this cooler box and see what we get included. I'm not one for directions, so we'll see if right off the bat I can figure out how this thing is supposed to mount, given that I've built, at this point, hundreds of computers. If I can actually get the box open. Yes, I know, I'm again using a screwdriver when I've got scissors right next to me. I really need to get better about doing that. Alright, let's get it opened up. Pretty decent packaging. Interesting way of laying it out for shipping purposes. Okay, one thing that should be fine actually. You guys have a thumb screw holding that center plate down. No way of offsetting, looks like. But you've got a thumb screw holding that center plate down, so it's not going to be like some of the other ones I've dealt with where you have to manually balance this and everything. Looks like it's going to use a 2-post mounting system on the sides, which, I mean, admittedly a 4-post mounting system would work better, but a 2-post mounting system isn't going to be an issue. What do we got going on here? Ah, yes, the Super Universal mounting plate. I haven't seen one of these in a while. We've got some Zalman superconducting thermal compound, also known as grease, for those of you who monitored the Build a PC sales Reddit. Do I have AM4 stuff? I've got something labeled AM5. Just calls them AMD screws. Okay, that works for me. So the screws labeled AM5 also work for AM4. It's the same set of screws. What you do is first you remove the stock mounting clips. And then after you've removed those, you get the stock little standoffs. You put them right over the existing mounting pegs, and then you line this up. Obviously, it's harder to do one-handed. Audio is going to be a little different on this because I'm recording the audio on my 15 Pro Max, not on the 15 Pro I use for shooting. And I don't have my mic thing hooked up to this. Then you just take your little screws and you screw them in the appropriate mounting holes. Zalman, you guys should really look into using tubed grease because this is going to make a mess and get all over me. But you squeeze out the grease out of the little packet and just onto the processor, and then you promptly put that in any of the many plastic baggies that are provided with the cooler. You still inevitably get some grease on you because it's not a tube applicator. Not that those are perfect. I do still sometimes get some on me from that, but it's usually less. And then you grab your cooler and you mount it, which just mounts down with 2 screws. Pretty simple. After that, it just comes with one set of fan clips. So you clip your fan on as a intake fan. It is not a daisy chainable ARGB fan. It is just singular ARGB fan. But for a 4 heat pipe tower cooler, honestly, that mounting process wasn't that bad. I've definitely had much, much worse, especially with the likes of like the Hyper 212. Some of the variants of the Hyper 212, because it's had like 50 revisions at this point, let's be honest here, have been really difficult to mount. So, anyways, let's get back into this, and we'll get this mounted on there, and you'll rejoin me when we're dealing with the case. Now, as for the case itself, I've already unboxed it once. So, I believe it did also have a plastic wrap over the case itself. Zalman. Great idea to use cardboard reinforcements inside the edges of your box. That is going to decrease issues from shipping damage, though obviously I don't have data on how much. For those of you at Zalman who are watching this, because I'm sure you guys will be, if you guys have any insight on how much those decrease your shipping damage rates, I'd love to know, because then I can call out more manufacturers if it makes a meaningful difference, or if it's a minor one, then maybe some of the budget manufacturers can justify that as a way to lower the cost of their case itself. Anyways, screwed on top like that. It's actually a pretty interesting design. Nice little mesh. And then it does have a dust filter underneath. Is the dust filter easy to remove? Not extremely easy, but you could get at it when you want to clean it. Just takes a little bit of extra work. Hinged side panel with just a push to get off. Not bad. I really like the cases that are designed like this. With a decent AIO support up top. This could actually support a top 360 if we had one. Zalman, please bring your AIOs to the US market. We are going with an air cooler on this. But we could do so much more with air coolers with you guys, or with liquid coolers with you guys. Then we've got the same hinged, just pushed in, I forget what it's called, fastened front panel. Same with the rear. One thing this case is missing is, you know, not honestly a huge loss, but more of a nice to have. And that is ARGB control built into the case itself. Instead, you have to plug into your motherboard and use software control. So, not a deal breaker, but definitely something that other manufacturers can do at this roughly $90 price point. Now, I will say it is a bit pricey for an MATX case, but we're going to see if the building experience and the looks end up justifying that. Because I think there's a chance they might, but there's also a chance it ends up falling a little short. I think for the price, it probably should have an ARGB hub, though, for these fans, if not also a fan hub. because some other manufacturers, some other large manufacturers are making full-sized ATX cases with nice-looking RGB fans and everything that have those. Good to see it does actually have Type-C support, even if it is only one USB 3.0. And you got your power button on the lower front fascia right here. You do also have a combo mic headphone jack up front. Now, it's got 5 expansion slots, which is actually basically the bare minimum nowadays if you want to support a 4090, because some boards, not this one, but some boards don't have their first PCIe slot until the second expansion slot. And then you have cards such as like the 4090s, Oris Master, or really a lot of 4090s that are more than 3 slots big. And so they wouldn't fit with those boards in this case because A, 4090s have gotten too big, and B, some motherboard manufacturers decide, even on their MATX boards, to not put a PCIe slot until the second slot. Now let's get these fans just kind of run into the back. Good to see these are daisy chainable ARGB fans. If you're not going to include a fan hub, that is the bare minimum you have to include, is ones that you can daisy chain. Though you didn't do that with the fans themselves, and these fans are not PWM, they are DC control only. That's definitely somewhere you guys could improve. I know these are ARGB fans, which is a great start. And it's an all-white case, which looks great. It has nice rubber grommets. It actually has quite a few options for rubber grommets, because you've got holes here, you've got holes here, you've got another one right here, 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 and here. But you don't have a fan controller, and they're not PWM fans, they're DC control. So that was definitely a bit of a miss and an oversight from your engineering department on this. Let's see, where did I put the case screws? Okay, I stand corrected on a decent amount of what I just said. You do include a fan splitter. Curiously, it's a PWM fan splitter when none of these fans are PWM. So, riddle me that. Anyways, you get plenty of fan screws and radiator screws and motherboard screws, extra standoffs, all that good stuff in the accessory kit. So far, I mean, I've installed the motherboard, I've cabled up a decent amount of stuff, and so far so good. Let's see how this TerraMax power supply integrates. And yes, for those of you freaking out, I'm finally moving the graphics card away from the edge. I just realized how close it was to the edge myself, and I got a little freaked out. Not gonna lie, I've knocked an ARC A770 off my building table. Hit the ground, couldn't even find a mark on it. A mark on the ARC. Okay, I'm not Dr. Seuss. I need to stop before I get called out in the comments. White fully modular power supply with white cables. Good. This is gonna look fire. And I'm ready to bring it to you guys and show you all. Best part, guys, because the 4070 is so power efficient, as well as because we're using a chip that doesn't really need a ton of power, and we're using a relatively low-end motherboard with the B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi, we actually only need to put 3 cables in. You know, that is an upside of not putting a hub in your case. We only need to put in 3 cables. Just our motherboard, our CPU, and our PCIe power. Damn. I did not see the efficiency of that coming. That's for sure. So we'll get this cabled up. Considering the fact that we only have 3 cables, I'm going to say cable management's probably going to be a breeze in this. But I will rejoin you when we're done. And then we'll get it all booted up and show you it all in its rainbow glory. We'll also do some color cycling so you guys can see a couple different shots in B-roll. Alright guys, cable management was a breeze. It helps when you use next to no cables. We've got our little RGB bundle as well as our regular fan bundle. I'm going to actually tie this up and in over here too. Just like that. We've got obviously our CPU 8 pin just kind of run back there. But all it took really was a single zip tie and 2 zip ties just to kind of hold it all together and not be crazy and all over the place. Now, let's get her booted up and see what she looks like. Alright guys, we now have the system all booted up and everything. And I gotta say, it's a great looking system. Sorry, I'm just trying to recenter the shot on it. Only weird, there is one peculiarity. If you plug the CPU tower cooler in without ARGB plugged in first, so like if you just boot it with the fan plugged in and then plug in ARGB after, it will not do ARGB sync. You have to then unplug the CPU fan after you've plugged in your ARGB cable, and then you replug it in, and then it'll work on ARGB. No clue why. I've reached out to my representative that I work with Zalman for further clarification, and if I get a response, I'll pin it in the comments down below. But I think the system looks great. I'm going to shoot some B-roll real quick, and I'll give you my final thoughts. So as you guys look at the fancy B-roll I shot, I bet you guys are wondering what I thought of this case, as well as the cooler and power supply. Case, quite fun to build in. Upsides include very, very nice looking, especially for an MATX case. Usually those are relegated to, how can I say this, less fancy looking cases. Other than that, it's got plenty of room for basically any graphics card you can put in here. It may not fit the 4090 Aorus Master, but that card is entirely way too big, as you guys will see in a upcoming video. I've kind of shot some stuff out of order. I did a really high-end build yesterday, and you'll be seeing that up on the channel soon. Just haven't had time to edit yet. And yeah, I mean, the power supply, perfectly reasonable. Seems like a decent enough unit. I'm not a power supply expert, so it works. That's good enough for me. It didn't immediately catch on fire. Good job. Cooler, it's going to perform about the same as any 4 heat pipe tower cooler, which is good enough for most chips on the market that aren't the like 5950X, 7950X, 13900K, any of the super high-end stuff. Any of the mid-range, like Intel Core i5s would work fine, and I'd go up to about Ryzen 7 on AM4 and Ryzen 5 on AM5 for this cooler. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, don't hesitate to let me know down below. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.